Yo, what is up guys? Welcome to another Wild Rift video, and in today's video I'll be showing you guys a tier list for every single role after all the recent changes to the gameplay. So I have a few things to say before starting the video. If you don't care about the things that I have to say, there are timestamps in the description to get to the tier list immediately. You know, if you just want to see ADC tier list or mid lane or jungle or whatever, timestamps in the description. So about the things that I have to say, today is the 30th of April, which means that tomorrow there's going to be 10 skin winners. Put down a comment under this video to enter. Keep that in mind. Also, last day to win on Twitter. You know, if you have Twitter, make sure to follow me on Twitter. I also tweet some funny things, but especially this tweet, which is a skin giveaway. You know, if you want to enter and have the most chance to win a skin, make sure to check that out as well. Also, give this video a like. It really helps the channel to give the video a like. And in today's video, I'm actually going to talk a little faster. Well, I don't mean talk faster, but I'm not going to say as much when I'm talking about the tier list, because I feel like if I only talk like for 2 or 3 minutes during every single role, it's actually better for the video. So let's start with the Baron lane. I played a lot of Fiora, and Fiora is so dominating, but I gotta say, Fiora is only S+ tier if you are actually good at her, okay? Fiora is like a one-trick pony champion, but if you get really good at her, she's the best out of all the other champions. Darius is amazing in solo queue. You know, he can solo carry games if you're good at him, and when you can get his stacks, he can absolutely solo carry games. Akali is just like Fiora. You have to be really good at her for her to be like really high up on the list. I didn't put her in S+ tier because the only problem with Akali is she's not tanky. And the Baron lane is often supposed to have a tanky champion, right? Often it's supposed to have a tanky champion. So Akali is only S tier if you have other champions in your team that are tanky. So Alistar or Braum support. Keep that in mind. Don't pick Akali if your whole team is squishy. It's so stupid to do that. Camille, very reliable pick. Very strong in the late game and can hold her ground in the lane. You know, your second ability with Camille, very good for the lane. You can play it safe, and in the late game your ultimate is an absolute game changer. If one enemy is hard carrying the game, crazy. By the way, please let me know in the comments if you guys like this new style of me doing the tier list, you know, because I used to do like 4 or 5 minutes per position, but now I'm gonna do it a little faster. I'm gonna try to talk about more champions and faster. Okay, Gragas, very solid champion as well. You know, he's very easy to play in your lane. His passive heals him up. In the late game, he's crazy strong. He's tanky. His ultimate, everything. You know, Gragas is really good. Malphite, very tanky. Among the tankiest champions of the game. I recommend you to pick Malphite against full attack damage compositions, as he really works well with armor. You know, his second ability gives him bonus armor based on how much armor you actually have. So Malphite is very strong against attack damage comps, and if the enemies have a lot of attack damage, and especially if your matchup is also attack damage like Fiora or Darius, Malphite is an amazing pick. So here I want to talk about a few of these champions, which is first of all Nasus. Nasus is only good if you have an easy matchup in lane. Guys, Nasus is the type of champion that you really have to draft well. And I'm not going to explain how to do that because I have a lot of Nasus videos on my YouTube channel. Just look up HellsDevil Nasus if you want to know how to play Nasus. And trust me, he's underrated. He can be very good. Pantheon, incredibly strong in the early game. You know, you can dominate the early game with this champion. Garen, I'm going to make a Garen video very soon. I'm not going to talk too much about him now. I'll show you why Garen is actually really strong. So yeah, as you can see here, these are all the champions that are not as good. You know, these can be good, but they are just, no, I don't really recommend you to play anything below the A tier. Alright, onto the mid lane. As you can see, there's 3 champions in the S+ tier, and it's not Katarina that's the best one anymore, it's Diana. And in my previous tier list, which was 2 weeks ago, I put Diana in S+ as well. You know, I put her all the way up, and I said it, you know, I said I believe Diana is broken, but people just haven't discovered it yet, and I'm still gonna keep her over there. Diana is so damn broken, but people are not playing her as much yet. It's incredible what she can do. And okay, Katarina is still really good. I wouldn't say broken anymore. They did nerf her, and Diana counters her. So, you know, that these are all, you know, she got nerfed. However, she is still super strong, and it's because of her passive. Whenever you kill an enemy, you can kill the entire enemy comp. Ziggs got a nerf. but Ziggs is still absolutely dominating. His first ability got a 1-second nerf in the early game. However, if you just get past the early game, it's still the same Ziggs, and he is just absolutely dominating as plus tier for sure. Akali, same story as Baron lane, very strong, but here she's actually better in the mid lane because, you know, mid lane is not supposed to be a tank, so it's more viable to pick in the mid lane, and I almost put her in the S plus tier, but you know, I still believe that Diana, Katarina, and Ziggs are better than Akali, but Akali is almost S plus tier, and keep in mind, very high skill champion. Now, Orianna is questionable because Orianna is very weak in the early game now with all the nerfs, but if you pick her in the right draft, again, I'm not going to explain how you do that. I have Orianna videos on my YouTube channel. If you want to know how, make sure to look that up. If you pick her in the right draft, she's absolutely dominating in the late game. Definitely one of the strongest late game champions in the whole game. Like, if you manage to reach late game with Orianna, against the right draft, of course, you are gonna absolutely hard carry the game. Ari is really good against this assassin, against these assassin comps. So if you look at my lists, and I'm gonna show you the jungle list real quick too. Here you can see a lot of assassins on the top of the list. Katarina, Akali, Evelyn, you know, whatever, Zed. A lot of not Zed by the way, but a lot of assassins are very strong in this meta. Who is good against assassins? Yes, Ari. And that is why Ari is in the S tier. She's not in the S plus tier, and that's just because these three champions are so damn strong. And, you know, I would say Ari is actually close to S plus tier, but you have to draft her right too. She's very good into diving champions and assassins. Corki is very solid in the mid lane, and Corki is definitely S plus tier if you're picking him against a lot of tanks. He is very, very, very good against tanks. Yasuo is A tier, and I want to say, if you pick Yasuo, please look at your team composition. Make sure you pick him with teammates that have knock-ups, like Malphite, like Lee Sin, like Alistar, like Gragas, like, you know, pick him in compositions that have a lot of knock-ups to combo your abilities with. If you don't do that, Yasuo becomes way worse, okay? Keep that in mind. And here, Tristana. I want to talk about Tristana, guys. I believe Tristana is going to be OP in mid lane. I didn't put her in the S tier because the assassin meta is still kind of, you know, kind of annoying for Tristana. But if you pick... So let me tell you when you should pick Tristana. If you pick Tristana against a matchup where you can easily throw your third ability on and get stacks on it, you know, the bomb, I genuinely believe she is on top of the S tier. So what do I mean? If you pick her against, let's say Yasuo, for example, which is very easy to stack up your bomb, against Galio, against Gragas, you know, champions that cannot really easily escape from your third ability, so you can stack up the bomb. She is S tier and almost S plus tier. That is what I genuinely believe. We'll see later on in this patch if people are going to discover it, or we'll see if I'm right. But I believe Tristana mid is severely underrated, and you should definitely give it a try. I'm already practicing her to make a video, so before you guys ask, I'm already doing it, okay? And as you can see here, you know, we have Twisted Fate, Galio, Gragas. These are all solid picks, and the ones on the bottom here. So Aurelion Sol, I believe Aurelion Sol, if you're really good at him, he could be S tier, but only if you're really good at him. Like for the one trick Aurelion Sol players, he can be S tier. Okay, about the Dragon Lane tier list. This one changed a lot. As you can see, Ezreal became S plus tier, above Kai'Sa. So Ezreal kind of came back into the meta because you know, champions like Evelyn, Akali, and all these other champions are very strong, and what Ezreal can do is he can flash away with his third ability, and his abilities are very strong to counter these assassin champions. Like when they dive you, you can shoot your second ability and first ability, basically damage them a lot. Okay, so Kai'Sa is the same, very strong champion overall, but she's also very strong against assassins because of her first ability, you know, to deal massive damage, her third ability to become invisible, and her ultimate to dash away. See, these two champions are very strong against assassins. Same goes for Xayah, and that is why Xayah is also very high. You know, these diving champions are gonna have quite a hard time against Xayah as well because of her ultimate, her third ability to root them all. So these three champions are very strong. I almost put Xayah in S plus tier, but Ezreal and Kai'Sa are just stronger. They're stronger than Xayah. So Jinx, see, the thing about Jinx is very strong. Maybe even stronger than all these champions. It's just it's hard to play Jinx in the current meta, right? Akali, Evelynn, Katarina, they absolutely shred Jinx. You have no chance to escape as a Jinx. Corki is also really strong. However, I really recommend you to pick Corki only if the enemy has Braum or Alistar support. Don't pick Corki against Janna, Seraphim, or any range support. Don't. Because you're gonna struggle if you do that. Because they're gonna outrange you and destroy you in the lane. But if you pick him against Alistar and Braum, very strong. Draven got a little nerf. And he got an early game nerf. He is still on top of the A tier, but not S tier anymore, because it's going to be a little harder to win that early game. But once you do win the early game, you can still snowball the same way. But keep in mind, it's going to be a little harder to snowball with Draven in the early game. Tristana, very strong. I really recommend you to pick Tristana against tanks as well. Don't pick Tristana against Janna, Seraphim, and, you know, basically same story as Corki. You want to have an easy lane against a tank like Braum or Alistar, you know. Jhin is okay. Now, Jhin is the opposite. You want to play Jhin against squishy comps. Don't pick Jhin against tanks. Jhin is very strong against squishy comps. If the enemy is full of squishies, Jhin is actually S tier. But I put him in the A tier because it's very easy to counter Jhin by going full tank. You know, if you pick like an Alistar against a Jhin or Braum or like Malphite or, you know, any tank, you can just walk up to the Jhin and he's not going to be able to do anything to you. And Jhin doesn't deal that much damage as any other ADC. Okay, I want to talk about Vayne too. Vayne is in the C tier, even though she got buffed, because, you know, she's just not as strong anymore. And I say it anymore, but she has never really been strong. In this meta especially, you know, it's not a tank meta, but if the enemy picks a lot of tanks, she is A tier. But all you gotta do is survive the early game. Play it safe. I have Vayne videos on my YouTube channel too. You know, make sure you watch them if you want to play Vayne. So yeah, I also want to talk about Yasuo. You can pick Yasuo ADC if your team is filled with knockups. So pick Yasuo ADC if you have Malphite Baron lane, Lee Sin jungle, and Alistar support. This is the minimum requirement that you need to actually genuinely pick Yasuo ADC. Okay, on to the jungle tier list. So even though Evelynn got nerfed, I played some Evelynn and she's still broken. Like, you know, the nerf hurts her a little bit, but she's still broken. Everything else is still broken and she is dominating the tier list on top of the S plus tier. After that, we got Lee Sin. Lee Sin is super strong as well. You know, he's very good in the early game and it's very easy to snowball with him. Like, it's inevitable to get ganked by a Lee Sin. You really can't escape a Lee Sin. Even if you flash away, he has mobility to just slow you down and then, you know, get behind you and still kill you. So that's why Lee Sin is incredibly strong. On the S tier, we have, what is this champion called? Jarvan. Yeah, I forgot the name. We have Jarvan. Jarvan is incredibly strong. Not only is he very strong in the early game, he becomes very tanky in the late game. His ultimate is also very strong, but keep in mind that you should draft Jarvan carefully. Pick Jarvan if you can really utilize his ultimate well. Like, you know, it's useless against Ezreal, for example, because Ezreal can just flash out of the ultimate. You know, pick it against champions that don't have these flash or dashing abilities, so they cannot escape your ultimate. Because your ultimate is going to be an easy way to force a flash from the enemy, for example. Vi, very solid jungler as well. Same goes for Wukong. Wukong is especially good in team fights, you know, his ultimate crazy good. Shyvana went down to the A tier, and I really, like, Shyvana feels weak. And the reason for that is because every time I see a Shyvana, she gets destroyed by Evelynn or Lee Sin. It's literally Evelynn or Lee Sin. I don't know why, honestly, but every time I see Shyvana against an Evelynn or Lee Sin, they struggle, you know. I've never really seen a Shyvana win against Evelynn or Lee Sin. So, you know, I feel like Shyvana is really weak in this meta. So I want to talk about Olaf too. Yeah, he's at the B tier. Do you guys remember when Olaf used to be on top of the S plus tier? Olaf is just not it anymore, guys, you know? Olaf used to be good into the tank meta, but now it's the assassin meta, which Olaf really doesn't do anything against. So yeah, don't pick Olaf. He's not strong. Okay, and it seems like, yeah, of course again, you know, I almost forgot about it, but I really wonder who it's gonna be, huh? I really wonder who it's gonna be. Of course, the Yi tier. This guy over here. You know, I'm honestly still not over the Master Yi that I had in my matches, like, I think it was like 5 months ago or something. You know? Sorry. you know, you still deserve it. Okay, onto the support tier list. This one is very interesting too. As you can see, there it's actually still the same as my old support tier. No. Only the S plus tier is still the same. Sorry, the bottom changed actually. So we still have Alistar. And Alistar is just so good, guys. I don't want to explain again, but dive potential, tank, CC, damage, everything about Alistar is broken. Alistar is still the best support in the game. After that, we got Janna. You know, Janna crazy, like the best mage support in the game. Also, the best roaming support in the game. You can run around with Janna very fast because her passive makes her super fast. And, you know, it's very easy to just win with Janna because her second ability to slow the enemy, third ability to give your allies a massive shield and buff their damage, everything. Her ultimate, everything about Janna is good. Again, I have like a million Janna videos on my YouTube channel. Make sure to check it out if you want to play Janna. Braum is a very solid support as well. Very solid, you know, with his big shield that can block all the damage. Very strong. And make sure you pick him in the right draft too. You know, for example, Braum is really strong against Misfortune, Ziggs, maybe even Orianna to stop the ball. You know, you get the point here. He's good against enemies that throw projectiles or have a lot of ranged basic attacks that Braum can block with his shield. You know, Braum is also really good against Jinx, for example. So keep that in mind. So, an example what Braum would be terrible against is Lux. Why? Because Lux's first ability, you know, he blocks Lux's first ability true, but the ultimate just goes straight through the Braum, you know. And keep in mind, you know, there are some champions that Braum is really bad against. The next one is Nami. Nami very strong, almost S plus tier, but you know, I still put her in the S tier. She's just incredible in the support role. But as you can see, like we have these three champions in the S plus tier and only Nami in the S tier, and then we immediately go to the A tier. What does this mean? This means that these three champions are like broken. And Nami is like good, really good, and these other champions are, you know, they get overshadowed by the power of these ones. However, I still want to talk about a few. Pantheon support. I made a Pantheon support video, I think it was yesterday, and oh my god, guys, this is so strong. I heard about it from my friend Kamoto, and I didn't believe it at first, like, you know, what the hell, Pantheon support? But it is so strong. You can catch out enemies and everything, you know, it's very strong. Leona has also risen. Only pick Leona against mages, you know, against Janna, against Seraphim, against Sona. That's what Leona is good against. Don't pick Leona against tanks. And yeah, the other ones, you know, are very solid. I want to talk about Nasus too, actually, you know. AP Nasus support. You heard me say it. You heard me say it. AP Nasus support B tier. I am not even kidding. Pick AP Nasus support if the enemy has a lot of squishies. So make sure if you pick Nasus, don't pick him against Alistar or Braum, please, or against Pantheon or any tank, you know. Pick him against Janna, Seraphim, Sona, whatever, you know, squishy enemy champions. Also, when you pick AP Nasus support, don't pick him against diving enemies like Evelynn, like Lee Sin. Pick him against champions that you can, you know, maintain a distance from and just throw your third ability. So that was it about today's video. I made the tier list within 19 minutes. So let me know in the comments if you guys prefer this style over the old style that I had to make tier lists. You know, this is a little more fast paced. I talk about more champions, but I talk about them faster, you know. So thank you very much for watching, guys. And I will see you all in the next Wild Rift video. Bye bye.